Hey everyone, Aniela McGinnis here from Grad, straight back from New York City. I was in New York Fashion Week this last weekend, walking the runway for Ana Ono Intimates, which is a mastectomy line of bras, and all the proceeds were going to Cancerland. So we went viral. If any of you saw it, the New York Times video already, I think, had like 1 million views by last night. So I figured perfect conversation to have right afterwards of how do we love our bodies post-cancer. And quick shout out to, hi Marlia, it's good to see you. So this topic it's a hard one for so many of us. And, having just walked topless and shared my scars with the world again, I didn't get here like overnight. And I still have, I'm not always like, oh my God, my body's so sexy. Like, I'm not. But I have genuine, tangible tips that I can teach you guys on how I got to be more comfortable with my body. And I started to learn how to love my body. And so I'm going to teach you guys those today. So I have 3 tangible tips for you today that I'm going to teach you on today's Wisdom Wednesday. So you know that you'll get those at the end. But first, I want to talk about kind of the concept of, loving your body post-cancer. And so for those of you who didn't see, I figure I'll just show, this was this past weekend. Let's see if you can see it. So that was this past weekend. There I am topless. And I was with a bunch of other women who had all been affected by breast cancer. And it was incredible and powerful and scary and invigorating all at the same time. And so, there's this idea with having done that it's like, oh, I must be so comfortable with my body and with my scars. And I'm not always. I'm genuinely not. I still will catch those glances in the mirror where I'm like, oh, yeah, this. And I don't feel sexy very often, and I definitely don't feel sexual. But I'm definitely learning to love this body. I have my notes. So when I was growing up, I figured you guys should know that this all did not happen in a bubble. All right. When I was growing up, my mother repeatedly would tell me that beauty is a curse, that you should not rely on it because it will fade. And I never truly understood what my mother meant by that until about a year after she died from ovarian cancer. And I was in the process of losing my hair from starting chemo because I got breast cancer the year after my mom died from ovarian. So in that moment of having no breasts and watching my hair fall out, I finally started to understand what my mother was saying. That when we put value in an asset that has diminishing returns, that's what we're doing. Like our hair, our breast, all of that is going to fade. It's going to get old. And there is this process of learning to love ourselves beyond those external things that we put value in. And that's way easier said than done. I know. But that is genuinely where true happiness comes. And I can say that when I was cut up from chemo, or from my mastectomy, and bald and losing my fingernails and my eyelashes were gone and my eyebrows were gone and I was puffy and bloated and had a rash all over my face, that in those moments I actually was loving myself way more than I ever had prior, which sounds crazy. But here I actually have photos of prior. So this was me before cancer. Young me. This woman did not really love her body. I would talk smack about it. I would poke at it. I'd do all those things that us women do. And I felt, and I don't know if any of you all feel this way, I felt that I wasn't allowed to love my body truly. That we hear, our society tells us that as women, a woman is really beautiful when she doesn't know she's beautiful. And if a woman says that she is beautiful, then she's narcissistic. And you're in this catch-22 then as a woman of like, well, I can't say that I'm beautiful and I'm not supposed to think that I'm beautiful because otherwise people are going to think I'm narcissistic. And that's how I felt prior to cancer, was like, I'm not allowed to love my body. I'm not allowed to love myself. And once I started going through cancer, it was like, well, shit. Like, now I really have a hard time loving my body and loving what it's turning into and watching all these things happen to it. But I think the beginning of really learning to love your body through this process is not feeling bad about feeling bad. So that is our first lesson for how to love your body. Like, I'm giving you tangible tips of, so how to love your body is, don't feel bad if you feel bad about it. Okay? Like that added guilt of where I felt bad about my scars at times, or about the fact that I had a rash on my face from chemo. And then I felt bad that I felt bad about it. Like, I'm not being positive enough. So I'm not allowed to feel these things. That is bullshit. That is this superficial positivity. Okay? And we have to start by actually being honest with how we're feeling. And Marlene, yeah, it's acceptance. But it's at least first accepting the feeling you're actually having. Accepting the actual feeling. So if you are sad about your scars, if you are upset that your breasts are gone, if you are upset that you've gained weight from chemo, that is okay. You're allowed to feel this way. You're allowed to be upset. That does not mean that you are not being positive enough. Accepting that feeling is the start of this. Of going, okay, I feel sad right now. Feel it. Allow yourself to feel it. Don't get stuck in it, but allow yourself to feel it. Don't deny it. Don't push it down. Don't put it in a box. Go, okay, I feel this way. I see it. I see you. So that's the start. And that can be really hard to sit with our discomfort of going, I don't love myself, and admitting that. And so my first tip for getting through this, my first exercise for you, for learning how to love your body again post-cancer, is something that I heard from Dr. Christine Northrup. And it was on the Oprah show. Straight up, I'm telling you, it was Oprah. All right, I was watching Oprah. But Dr. Christine Northrup said that doing this one exercise every day can really change the way you view yourself. And when she started explaining the exercise, I started sobbing at the idea of it. Like, just the idea of it, I started crying. And the exercise is looking in the mirror, into your own eyes, and genuinely saying, I love you. I really love you. And do that every day. And I can tell you that I started doing this in the midst of my cancer treatment. And I would sob every time I did this for weeks. It took me weeks to just not cry when I said, I love you, I really love you, to myself, and mean it. Because I didn't love myself. I didn't. But I started to. That one simple exercise started to help me love myself. All right, so now exercise number 2. So the second thing I did to really work on loving myself through the cancer experience was, at the end of my treatment, I wrote a love letter to my body. And in it, I apologized for each of the things that I had done to it. I apologized for having called it names, for having ridiculed it for having cut into it, for having starved it. I barely ate prior to being sick. I apologized for poisoning it every week for months with chemo. I apologized for each of these things. I wrote it out to my body. And then I thanked it in the same letter for all the things that it had done for me. The fact that it would heal. Every single time it got cut into, it healed. The fact that it was the one thing that that was like my best friend. My body was my best friend. It was going to be with me from the moment I was born, my first breath to my last breath. It was the only thing that would know all of my secrets. My body was protecting my organs. My body was showing up. And I thanked it for each of those things. And at the end of this letter, I posted this letter as well onto my Breast Choice page. I will repost it onto Cancer Grad so you all can see it. But this exercise of writing to myself let me witness how much my body loved me. And made me want to be better to it. And I point out, a lot of us don't realize how bad we are to our bodies, how bad, like what kind of crap we say to ourselves. And this letter really helped with that. But if you had someone saying the things you say to yourself, to your daughter, to your mother, to your partner, you would be like, you would go fight them. You'd be like, how dare you say that? Yet we say that to ourselves. We'll go and pinch our stomachs and go, you're fat. Or, I don't like you. If anyone said that, oh my gosh. So why would you say that to yourself? So, getting back on track, but that to me was a big realization. I thank you, Kim. Yeah, that we would not say these things that we say to ourselves to anyone else. And so by writing this love letter to myself, it made me realize how much my body actually was doing for me and how kind it was. And you know that if any of you have ever had a boss who was a jerk, you don't want to work for that boss. You'll sit there defiantly and be like, well, fine, I'm not going to do my work. That's what your body hears what you're saying about it. Your body hears it. Your body's like, I know what you're saying to me. Why am I going to want to work for you? So writing it out really helps you change that language. It's that first real step. So that was the second thing I did. So now it was the I love you in the mirror. And it was now this letter. And then the third thing, and this is where the practice comes in, is, because this is a learned skill. Loving your body is a learned skill that we're not taught. It's catching yourself when you start saying those crappy things to yourself. So, as we were just saying with the letter, of saying these crappy things, catching it. So I would have those moments where after chemo, I'm bald, I'd catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror and I look like my mother on her deathbed. Like I was with my mother when she died from cancer and I looked like her in the mirror. And that's a really hard thing. And then I would see as well like the weight gain from chemo that I wasn't used to, or the scars and those things that we don't even want to look at. We turn away from, we try to hide from. And so I would catch myself in that moment when I start talking shit about my body, start talking shit about myself, and I'd stop and I'd look at the area that I was talking shit about and I'd rub it. Like as if I was my body's mother. I'd rub it and I'd go, I love you. Thank you. And I could always find something that I could thank for it. I could thank my body for healing. I could, like if I looked at my scars, I could thank them for healing, for having come to them, for them healing. I could thank my body for, putting on the extra weight to pad my organs. I could thank my body for that. And by giving that loving touch and yes, I didn't have my mother anymore, but I could be my own mother in a way. And it helped me change the dialogue that I had in my head. It changed the dialogue from being, look at that thing, to thank you, to I love you. And that helped me gain acceptance for the changes that had happened. Because the thing is, you're not going to have that old body back. It's gone. And you're allowed to mourn it, and you're allowed to cry about it, because it is a death. But there is a new body that you have, and learning to accept it as it is, not to talk crap about it, not mistreat it, but to accept it, to be its mother, to have this be your child, and at the same time to let your body mother you, made the most incredible difference for me. And I was also reminded through this, because yes, I had lost my mother, and so I didn't have my mom to help care for me when I was going through chemo. When you're sick, all you want is your mom. But I realized that half of me was my mom. At all times, my mom was still with me, because half of every cell in my entire body was my mother. And so when I rubbed my own arm and said, I love you, and when I rubbed a part of my body and said, I love you, thank you, that was also part of my mother. And that was every single person who ever contributed to me existing on this planet. The level of love that is included with that is extraordinary when you think about it. And all of that love lives within every single cell of your body. All the way back to the beginning of time. So to me, that was, how could I not love at least some part of that? And witness the love my body gave back to me. So those are my 3 tips, and really it was 4. So the first one is accepting, even if it's a negative emotion, how you're feeling, accepting it, not feeling bad about feeling bad. Second is the I love yous in the mirror. Third is going and writing that love letter to yourself, which I will post that on our Cancer Grad page. I post my love letter that I wrote at the end of chemo to myself, so you guys can read that. And fourth is the practice of catching yourself when you start talking crap about your body, stopping, rubbing that area, telling your body that you love it, and finding some reason to thank it. And you will find that whether your body is does snap back or doesn't, you're okay with it. Because you love it, and you know how much it loves you in return. And I think now is the key, is learning how much your body loves you helps you love your body back. Because your body healed over and over again. And maybe it didn't heal exactly the way you wanted it, but it keeps showing up. And that's love. That is absolute love. And my one last part that I'm going to talk about with this is when you are going through this, when you are going through chemo, when you are losing your hair, losing your fingernails, for many of us, our nails start to detach, our eyebrows are gone, our eyelashes are gone, we gain weight, we lose weight, there's so much that happens, and we lose so much, and we lose a lot of what our society puts value in. And I had this long, gorgeous red hair and these perky boobs and these long lashes, and I watched each of those things fall away. And I remember during chemo, that ended up being this really profound moment, because as I lost my hair, as I lost my nails, I kept asking myself, and I'd cry. I would feel crappy. I would sob every time I would go in the shower and hair would come out of my hands. I would sob in the shower. I would just weep and practically collapse on the floor. And I'd be gagging at the same time. I'd be like, all at the same time. But once it was gone, I'd ask myself, am I still valuable without this thing that I put value in? The answer was yes. I am still valuable without it. And so as every single one of those things fell away, as, I didn't have nipples, as I didn't have hair, as I didn't have energy, as each of those things fell away, and I kept re-asking the question, am I still valuable without this? The answer always came back as yes. Yes, I am still valuable. So that meant that the thing that I lost had no actual value in it if I still remained valuable without it. And to me, that was just so profound to realize that. And there's a quick story that Goenkaji is the teacher of a Vipassana meditation retreat that I've gone to twice now, which is 10 days of silent meditation. And he has a story that he tells of again, with hair, like that this husband is complimenting his wife's hair, how beautiful it is. It's so beautiful. And the wife gives him his lunch, and there's one of her hairs in the soup. And he's like, ew, this is disgusting. She's like, I thought you said it was so beautiful. It should make the soup more beautiful. But yet, when the hair is removed from our body, you don't look at that pile of hair and go, oh, that hair is so beautiful anymore. So clearly it did not have value. When it is disintegrated, when it is separate from you, it does not contain that value anymore. So that means you were the sole proprietor of all of that value. All right, I think that's it, guys. That's my learning how to love yourself. So please try the techniques. See how it goes for you. It's a process. This does not happen overnight. I still, if there's a new side effect that pops up from my leftover treatment, lymphedema, whatever, I am crushed again, and I have to work through this again. Sexual side effects, I'm crushed over and over again, and I have to work through it always again. Okay, so this isn't like I'm like magically, I'm just like, damn, I'm so sexy. I'm not. I am not. Loving your body takes work. It takes practice. So try the accepting your bad feelings. So number 1, try accepting your bad feelings. Number 2, I love yous in the mirror. Number 3, write that letter to your body, apologizing and thanking it. And number 4, catch yourself when you say something shitty about your body. Imagine that it's a girlfriend. Imagine it's your daughter. Imagine it's your mama. And what would you say to them? Okay, so that's it for all this, guys. I know. I try to make it faster today. We are having a special Wisdom Friday this Friday with Justin, who is a ballsy sense of tumor. He was one of our Facebook or one of our YouTube yearbook features. My brain, sorry. I've had 3 hours of sleep. I flew in from New York. He was one of our Cancer Grad yearbook features. So again, if you want to be featured on our yearbook page, there is a form on cancergrad.org on the yearbook. Go to the bottom, fill out the form, and we will send you the welcome packet with all of the interview questions. So you can share your story with others to influence them and make them feel good about like, oh shit, I recognize that story. So do that. So anyway, so this Friday at 3:30, we are going to have a special talk with him from the male perspective of cancer. Justin had testicular cancer, and he is going to get honest with us. And he has a great sense of humor. And the only thing we're not allowed to talk about is sex, because he's a teacher. But we're talking about everything else. We're talking about body image. We're talking about, how he feels with this. So super exciting. That is this Friday at 3:30. If you want to tune in for, it's called Feeling Nuts. I shouldn't find that so funny. But it's Feeling Nuts, male, or cancer from the male perspective. So definitely join us. I don't know what next Wednesday's topic's going to be. I won't lie. I still have to figure that one out. Let me know if you guys want us to talk about something specific. It's our last week of February. I'm going to see if I can get my husband to talk about relationships during cancer. But I don't know if I can get him because I like to allow him to be private. He's incredibly supportive. But, I'm the one who decides to show my titties and go all over the internet. I try not to make him do that. I like to give him his privacy. But I'm going to see if I can get him to. So, fingers crossed, I can get some relationship stuff in there. But let me know if there's something else you guys want to talk about. I will super talk about it. Also, go to cancergrad.org, sign up for our newsletter. We'd love to send it to you. We can send you all the new stuff that's happening. We'll send you, inspiration, all that jazz. If you want t-shirt or mugs, go to cancergrad.org school store. We got all that stuff in there.
And I think do our Instagram. We got Instagram. We got Facebook. Oh, also, if you guys wanted to keep this conversation going, you can join our Facebook private group, which is our Cancer Grad Community Quad. And we talk about this stuff. It's a private group, and it's just cancer patients, cancer students, cancer graduates, caregivers, our cheerleaders, all in the same place. And we are super free to just talk about stuff and share, which is awesome. And I think that's kind of it, guys. I think that's it. Yep, that's it. I love you guys so much. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if it was in the comments. Also, let me know where you guys are viewing from. We really love to know how you guys found us and where you're watching from. It helps us continue to spread this out, spread this community out. So, absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on Friday, this Friday, 3:30 with Justin, Male Perspective. Mwah! Go love yourself. Genuinely love yourself. Not the bullshit, positive, but really love yourself. Hey, Aunt Barbara, I just finished this talk today. So, sorry, you just missed it. But I'll have the replay up in a second. Mwah! Bye, guys!